Hey everyone, it's Hax. Today I'll be making a formal request for several changes to be made to the way that we play Melee. These will include an update to UCF as well as the Slippy rollback client. I'm making this video in response to recent developments within the community. Most notably, there's been an ongoing discussion about the box's legality, which has left many box users in disarray. A good amount of top players and influencers have banded together to raise issue with the box, and very few people have been able to offer a proper defense. This has led to the community being on the cusp of making snap decisions that would negatively affect box users if they went through. As the designer of the box, I want everyone to rest assured that I'll be providing solutions to people's concerns. These solutions will involve the usage of the 1.03 memory card that I've been working on lately with Altimor, which couldn't have come at a better time. The first misconception I'd like to address is the belief that it'd be appropriate to nerf the box. This isn't the case because the box is already nerfed in all the areas that can be nerfed in a healthy way. In Box the Movie, which I released on Christmas Day, I went over all of the box's precision and travel time nerfs. The only nerfs that can be given to the box at this point are last resort nerfs, which severely compromise the box's functionality. All of the nerfs that are currently being suggested on Twitter fall under this category. The reason it's inappropriate to even begin discussing these nerfs is because the community has yet to buff the Gamecube controller in all of the appropriate ways. What I mean by that is UCF isn't fully doing its job, and this is leaving Gamecube controller users able to argue that their controllers are at a disadvantage as a result. I happen to know exactly how this problem originated, and that's because I worked with the UCF team briefly in 2017, back when I first proposed software mods in order to assist with box legality. The UCF team and I had chat rooms such as this one where we'd have our internal discussions. What ultimately caused me to part ways with the UCF team was my desire to create an endgame controller fix, which conflicted with their desire to create a simpler one. In one of my last messages to the UCF team, I advised Dan Salvato that the community needed to be educated about less well-known issues such as 1.0 Cardinal and dash how to crouch. This rationale was ultimately shot down, however, and from there the rest is history. By sheer coincidence, I recently began working on a memory card called 1.03 right before these controller discussions popped up. The 1.03 memory card contains its own unique controller fix which can be considered the final version of what I proposed 5 years ago. While the 1.03 controller fix has plenty of things in common with UCF, it's polished in several areas where UCF isn't. This includes corrections to existing mods, as well as the addition of new mods that fall under the same rationale. Thus, the first step the community takes should be adopting 1.03, as this will fix issues among Gamecube controllers while giving them parity with the box in the process. Without further ado, I'll be breaking down the 1.03 controller fix in full. The first fix on 1.03 is Dashback. The need to increase Dashback's window to 2 frames has been known about for many years. When Achilles came out with 20XX, he included a 2-frame Dashback toggle so that people could finally test this option out. However, the best way to fix Dashback didn't come out until UCF was released several years later. Cardinal showed that it's better to use an algorithm called tilt-turn intent than it is to increase Dashback to 2 frames. This is because tilt-turn intent compromises tilt turns to less of a degree than lazier Dashback fixes. Tilt-turn intent works by calculating your analog stick's velocity on the turn frame that'll occur no matter what, and determining which outcome you intend to perform from there. A lower velocity will result in a tilt turn, while a higher velocity will result in a dashback. This is the best solution to the dashback dilemma. The second fix on 1.03 is Wiggle Out of Tumble. UCF's wiggle code contains what can be considered a mistake in that it copies the dashback code to a T. Because Wiggle doesn't have a tilt-turn equivalent, it's better to increase Wiggle to 2 frames rather than use tilt-turn intent. Without getting into too much detail, tilt-turn intent causes Dashback to have a sub-2-frame window because it converts a percentage of your turns into tilt turns, and so removing this algorithm improves Wiggle by a small amount. The third fix on 1.03 is Shield Drop, which is different from UCF as well. The issue with UCF's Shield Drop fix is that it doesn't give box parity, which is a must given the community's current situation. UCF's shield drop fix fails to give box parity because it remains possible to overshoot a shield drop vertically. This would never happen on the box, and so the Gamecube controller needs to be given the equivalent. The way to do this is to increase shield drop all the way down to the bottom of the rim, which 1.03 does. This fix also comes with the benefit of fully equalizing Gamecube controllers by making it so that even ones with degraded rims won't have any issues shield dropping. The fourth fix is 1.0 Cardinal. A 1.0 Cardinal fix is long overdue in order to address the fact that the box is able to pinpoint this value with ease. 1.03 fixes 1.0 Cardinal via the clamping method, which works by relocating your analog stick to 1.0 when it's against the rim. This is the best way to fix 1.0 because it doesn't compromise any of the values that come before it. Other than that, there are a few questions surrounding this fix that I'd like to address. The first question that tends to pop up is why 1.0 should be standardized rather than the more common value of 0.9875. There are multiple reasons for this. The first reason is that 1.0's frequency shouldn't affect our rationale. What matters is that our rationale is consistent, and thus far we've chosen to fix every mechanic by buffing rather than nerfing. Mechanics such as Dashback and Shield Drop, for example, can technically be fixed by removing them completely, but we've chosen not to do that. Thus, our 1.0 Cardinal fix should take the same approach. Another reason to standardize 1.0 has to do with SDI and ASDI calculations. These mechanics work by multiplying your stick values by 6 and 3 respectively, and so 1.0 results in clean integers, whereas 0.9875 results in fractions. This means 1.0 makes for cleaner and easier notation. Finally, there's a complex interaction that I've had documented ever since I wrote the box manifesto in 2018. This interaction seals the deal in terms of standardizing 1.0. The box manifesto explains that the box's shallowest air dodge angle is based around Fox's frame 6 ledge dash, which needs to be able to succeed. When 1.0 jump trajectory is paired with the box's shallowest air dodge, Fox is able to perform a frame 6 ledge dash. However, if Fox's jump trajectory is reduced from 1.0 at all, then this air dodge angle won't suffice. The box would need to be given a shallower air dodge in order to compensate at that point. This brings game design into question, as it means we have to decide if a stronger Cardinal or a shallower air dodge is healthier from a competitive perspective. The manifesto argues that a stronger Cardinal is healthier for several reasons. One of them is that Cardinals encourage on-stage gameplay, whereas air dodges encourage ledge play. All in all, the clear choice is to fix 1.0 Cardinal via the clamping method that I described. The fifth and last controller fix on 1.03 is dash out of crouch. Dash out of crouch is unique in that it requires two separate fixes. The first fix, which I'll call dash out of crouch Y, fixes 3 coordinates that have to be crossed when you shift your analog stick from crouch to dash. These 3 coordinates will cause you to stand up from crouch if you're pulled on them. Since this creates an unavoidable luck factor, it's appropriate to make it so that these coordinates won't cause a crouch stand-up. The second dash out of crouch fix addresses an issue with the timing window for this technique. I'll call this fix dash out of crouch X. This fix exists because dash out of crouch's curved travel route exceeds the length you'd normally have to travel in 2 frames in order to dash. Furthermore, factors such as the thumb being weak from the starting position as well as friction along the bottom of the analog stick make dash out of crouch even more unfair. All these factors justify increasing the window for dash out of crouch to 3 frames so that it can be performed consistently. There are other arguments in favor of this decision as well. The dash hierarchy is relevant when it comes to this discussion. On vanilla, dash forward is the only fair dash mechanic. From there, dash out of crouch is flawed, and dash back is even more flawed. UCF artificially shifts this hierarchy by bringing dash back in front of dash out of crouch. At that point, it's appropriate to complete the dash hierarchy by fixing all 3 dash mechanics. Something else to consider is that people have recently taken an interest in Goomwave controllers, which feature a dash out of crouch mod. Not many people know that the Goomwave's dash out of crouch mod works by causing your coordinates to skip a considerable distance after exiting the crouch position. In other words, the Goomwave looks to simulate a 3-frame window, and it's already been well received by top players. Finally, there's the fact that the box is at an advantage if the 3rd frame isn't added. This is because the box isn't subject to the travel route I described earlier, and so it's able to dash out of crouch easily as is with enough practice. While adding the 3rd frame does benefit the box, it benefits the Gamecube controller far more, which helps create parity between the 2 controllers. Now that we've gone over all 5 controller fixes, I'll provide a quick recap. 1.03's dashback fix is identical to UCF's fix, which uses an algorithm called tilt-turn intent that Cardinal came up with. 1.03's wiggle fix is then improved to 2 frames, as there's no need to use tilt-turn intent here. 1.03's shield drop fix is different from UCF as well in that its maximized range gives the Gamecube controller parity with the box. The 1.0 Cardinal fix is also maximized for similar reasons, as well as more complicated ones that have to do with the box's ledge dash calculations. Finally, dash out of crouch is fixed by preventing a crouch stand-up from happening along the rim and increasing the timing window to 3 frames. Increasing dash out of crouch's window to 3 frames is warranted for reasons ranging from clean game design to box parity. The next and last Gamecube controller improvement on 1.03 is a button remap called Zjump. Zjump can be toggled at the character select screen on 1.03 by holding X or Y in conjunction with Z for a second. This will swap Z with your jump button of choice. Although Zjump is merely a remap, it's special in that it can be considered an objectively better remap. Top players such as IBDW have recently caught on to Zjump's usefulness, and as a box player, I consider Zjump a must. I say this because Zjump fixes what I believe to be the biggest problem with the Gamecube controller, which is the need to use a claw grip. Techniques such as gravity aerials and DJC aerials simply aren't feasible to perform with a regular grip, and Zjump fixes this issue. Therefore, the full package that I'm advising for within this video is Zjump in addition to the 1.03 controller fix. I'd once again like to encourage the community to support the addition of these gameplay changes to Slippy. It's an important time for us to be proactive so that we can finalize the controller rule set early on in the year. I hope that I've shown that the 1.03 memory card is not only responsibly distributed, but also intended to advance Melee in a healthy way by completing the work I first sought out to finish 5 years ago. I believe the controller discussion has come full circle, as the endgame solution I had in mind ever since then is what the community currently needs. Before we finish, I need to tell you that there's still another video coming that's just as important as this one. There have recently been discussions pertaining to mechanics such as SDI which I didn't address within this video. The most I can say right now is that I've innovated in a completely different way that I'm excited to explain in my next video, which will be out within another few days. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can get a notification when that video goes up.